Welcome to the second portion of the styling video. We're going to do some flat iron waves. I'm just prepping the hair. I've just prepped the hair with some hairspray. The hair is dry. I've heated up my flat iron. I'm going to start with a diagonal section from ear to the center back of the head, following the roundness of the head. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking a 1-inch wide flat iron and I'm holding it pointed to the floor. And what I'm doing is I'm basically just running the flat iron through. I've done about a full turn with the iron, and then I pull it through, kind of like how you ribbon, where you curl ribbons when you're wrapping gifts. It's the same sort of idea. You basically just take the hair, which you want to make sure is quite already smooth and detangled, and I just take a vertical subsection. So I've taken a diagonal section, and then my subsections that I'm using, that I'm styling, are going to be vertical. And I also hold the iron vertically as well, and it has to, in order to get the sliding motion to go down the hair, you have to hold the iron with the ends or the tips pointing down towards the floor. And I hold the hair in my fingers and feed it through the iron, which I find works quite well, so that you don't pull the hair too much. And it doesn't matter which direction you rotate your hand. Each direction will give you a different look, so that's a creative choice on your end. What you want to do is make sure you don't go too slow over the hair and cause burning. If you find yourself moving really slow, just turn the temperature of your iron down if you can. And we should always be using a heat protectant spray or hairspray. If you wanted more curl, you would do a couple of more rotations with your hands. I've just done the one and I've pulled the hair through. However, you can keep rotating the iron and you'll get more curl. More curl means more volume as well, so that can always be fun. For this, it's going to be a little bit more loose and flat, and the reason why I do the flat iron waves or use an iron is the extra heat from both plates can actually help curl hair that has a difficult time curling. The person I'm using here, her hair definitely has some issues curling, she said, so the flat iron can help because it's heating it from both sides. And then if you blast it with a little bit of a light workable hairspray, you'll get even more hold with your style. And so I've gone through, I'm now spraying individual sections, I let them dry and I work the hairspray, and then I go in right at the root, do a full turn with the iron, and then feed the hair through. And that's how you get a kind of a loose beach wave curl, which can also work as a pre-hair set for any sort of upstyle or wedding look. If you have any flower girls or ring bearers and you want to curl their hair, this could definitely work because it's nice and fast and you can just glide the iron quickly over their hair, creating some smoothness. Now I just work horizontally across the top of her hair until I get to where the hair wants to part, which is, in this case, is in the middle. Once I get to the top of the crown, I'm just going to follow the middle part. I spray the hair from both sides when I'm working, and that ensures an even distribution. And so it's the same motion, but I'm alternating, spinning the hair forward towards the face or away from the face. And I don't need to switch hands in order to do this. So a flat iron can work if you are not as ambidextrous as some other people, because you don't need to switch hands. You definitely have to keep in mind the angle that you're working at as well. If you hold, depending on the angle you hold the iron while you're doing this, you'll get a looser or a more tight curl, or a round, or like a fuller curl. So that can be fun, but you just want to pay attention to the symmetry on either side. Now, sometimes you don't want it symmetrical, and that's also up to you. But if you're trying to go for symmetry, make sure you hold the iron at the same angle on either side of the face. So I'm working in that diagonal side section in the front now, and I've taken it into the crown. With the sectioning, when you're doing something like this, I like to go sort of parallel to each other. It's fast, and I go in a V-shaped section towards meeting in the center back, and that way I can just take vertical subsections and work really quickly around the hair, wrapping it around the iron and then sliding the iron down. Feeding the hair through with your other hand also works quite well. If the hair is fine and a little tangly, it prevents pulling and tugging. So we're just going to continue in the same manner, and I'm alternating which side I turn forward and which side I turn away from the face, because this is going to be a little more tousled, a little more messy, so switch up the direction. If you want it to look a little more polished, always move the hair or rotate the hair in the same direction. And I'm still working forward in the front of the face, spinning the iron rather, forward and creating that nice soft wave, feeding the hair through with my fingers to create any pulling or tangles. Don't hesitate to go over your section again if you find that it's not looking as good as you thought it was going to look. Sometimes a little extra heat helps it to kick it up a little bit, and you can see that works out quite nice there. So we're just working through the other side. A little bit of hairspray. That is a medium hold hairspray that I can use that offers a little bit of heat protection as well. And working on the opposite side of the face, I may choose to have the hair go in the same direction or a symmetrical direction on either side, so I will have to switch my hand position to get that symmetry going in the front. Alright, so add a little bit of spray. Now I've switched hands so that you can see I get the same direction going with the curl, so that the iron's pointing towards the floor and I can slide it down the hair. Always keep in mind when you're doing this the angle that the iron is at. That way you'll get a symmetrical curl pattern happening on both sides. Just slide the hair down there, go nice and clean, and a little slower over the ends will ensure that they smooth out nicely. That's another benefit of doing the flat iron curls, because if the hair is a little on the frizzy side, it also smooths the frizz quite easily and keeps the curl intact. So I'm just taking my section across the crown now. I usually will work sort of across the back and then do the sides, and then across the back and do the sides, and then across the back. So as I work up the head, and it's not really, there's no rule on which direction you have to roll the hair. It just depends on what look you're going for. And I'm using vertical subsections for curling so that I can move the iron down from root to tip. And again, if you wanted more curl rather than a loose wave, you would spin the iron multiple times as you slid or moved the iron down the hair from root to tip. And it also helps to feed the hair through the iron with your other hand if you're practiced enough. We're leaving that top section out. Her hair has parted in the middle, we've decided, but if it was a side part, you would just do the top section in two sections as well, with vertical subsections. So again, I'm alternating which direction I'm rolling the hair so that I can get a more tousled, messy look with the curls. I'm using a maximum temperature on the iron because I want that curl to last a little longer in her hair. I feed the ends through with my fingers and I'm going in the symmetrical direction, pulling the hair out and away from the face. This really is a creative way of doing hair or styling hair because you're using a flat iron. So don't be afraid to try turning your hands more or trying different angles or whatnot. Just remember to not go over the hair too much because it is a very hot tool and children have hair that damages easily. So if you're going to experiment, just turn your temperature of your tool or appliance down if you can. It always helps to get a flat iron with a temperature control because then you can reduce that temperature if your child has very fine hair. So just keep moving down the hair towards the top of each side of the part. That's where I'm working on. If she had a side part, I'd just work towards the part, working on either side of the head as I go up. I like to go and do each side at the same time so that I remember which angle I'm holding my hands because I'm someone who likes symmetry with curls, so this is how I ensure a symmetrical look. As we finish the top, I like to spray the hair from underneath a little bit to give it some volume, then some lift off the top. And again, just vertical subsections, and you can see there's that middle part. We're just going to finish our look here using vertical subsections and feeding the ends into the iron. We want these pieces to hold the curl as well as possible because it's on the top. So this is the really important sections here is the top sections. So I'm using my other hand to feed the hair in because these sections are very important to me, so I want to make sure this curl is going to hold a long time. And I elevate up to give it a little bit more volume and lift. As you remember, I sprayed some hairspray at the roots, so I just want to encourage that to have a little bit of extra volume. So I'm holding the hair up and elevating it as it cools, and that's going to hopefully give me some extra volume there. I spin the hair after I'm done curling it just to check and see how bouncy the curl is that I've just done and how well it's held. So I'm going straight up now this time and hoping that's going to give me a little bit of volume. If their hair is naturally pretty straight, it's only going to do so much. You can't really fight nature unless you put a ton of product in, but then as a parent, you'll probably end up having to shampoo it all out later. So I'm just finishing with these money pieces here in the front. Those front pieces are always money, so I'm just working on the other side and I've sprayed the hair underneath to give it some volume. Again, I want these pieces to really pop. And she has stubborn hair to hold curls, so I have to spray some extra hairspray in there. And really make sure that our sectioning my sectioning isn't too wide on top. If your sectioning is really wide, the hair won't have enough heat penetrating it, and your curl won't hold it at all once you start curling it out, or shaking it out rather. So I'm feeding the tips into the iron there, so it smooths out the hair at the same time. And it's a little bit of a sad piece, so we're going to go over that again. Because it's the front, we got to make it look real good. And it's got to hold. So, it looks great now. We're going to spray it and we will see what happens after I comb the hair. You could skip the combing and just shake it out and add the hairspray as I'm doing here. Remember to spray from underneath as well. We want the spray to hit all sides of that hair. So I'm using my fingers, and then I'm going to show you what happens when we use a wide tooth comb to comb it out as well. But you can just use your fingers to shake the waves out. And we're just finishing with our shakeout here, and it's staying. I like that. It's looking very, very nice. And you can see the back here, quite lovely, and it goes great with our layers from our previous haircut. So that should be nice for her. You can put that up in an updo, or you can just leave it down. That concludes the lesson. Thank you so much for watching. For continued learning and complimentary videos, check out our YouTube channel, Kids Hair Academy. And to stay in touch with us and connect with other parents, share your work, join the private Facebook group at the Kids Hair Academy on Facebook. Thank you so much for watching.